go on?
You ready if you are?
Yep. Just waiting for that machine to go on. Okay, here we are. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the inspectors of the Carbon County Jail to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. Recordings are overwritten following approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. Are there any guests present?
Yes.
Okay, who do we have here?
My name's Josh Reed. I'm Assistant Field Ops Director with Immigration Customs.
Oh, that's right, you guys are here. Okay. All right. I invited them in because when we had our last meeting, we talked about what they were looking to do. I wasn't here. I was at, I was off. I was on vacation. So we haven't had the opportunity, and we had spoken on the phone, and I figured it would be better to get, instead of everybody getting secondhand information, that they let us know what they're looking for, let us know what's required, if anything, at our correctional facility, and allow you to ask any questions that you may have about that. So whoever would like to address us.
Sure. So, once again, my name's Josh Reed. I'm Assistant Field Ops Director with Immigration.
Joshua White, I didn't hear last name.
Reed, R-E-D.
Thank you.
I'm Assistant Field Ops Director with Immigration Customs Enforcement. I oversee our Pike office that is located in Lords Valley, Pennsylvania. We do have a detention center up there, but we have a very limited amount of staff in that office, and they're responsible for covering most of northeastern Pennsylvania. It goes all the way from the New York border all the way down to about Allentown, where we do enforcement operations. A good percentage of who we arrest comes out of local jails, you know, that we screen local jails for people that are foreign-born, that have pending charges. But one of the reasons why we're looking for space in your facility is when we're doing our operations down in the Allentown area, our current detention facility, Pike, is located a great distance away from Allentown, like an hour and a half. So it makes it difficult for us to do some of our operations. Another issue we have is throughout our AOR, the Philadelphia is our main office. It covers all of Pennsylvania. Our offices cover all of Pennsylvania, Delaware, and West Virginia. We have very limited female bed space throughout all three states, so we're looking for female bed space and under 72 hours for males.
What's the time frame for the males then, if females are 72?
Males would be under 72, meaning we keep them there less than 72 hours and move them to Pike. Females could be immigration proceedings. They basically be detained while they go through immigration proceedings. Immigration proceedings can take anywhere from a week to a year, depending on, you know, how people fight their cases and the status of the cases. And we're looking for specifically low-level female, meaning, you know, classification, low-level criminal history or no criminal history.
I think that was one of my questions too, like the 3-day thing, and I'm all for making money. I mean, if it's gonna help us out in that way. But we're actually going over our medical stuff right now. What if somebody's there for like 3 months? Do you still cover the medical, or how does that covered?
So if there's anything, so how it works is we have Immigration Health Services Corps, right? So any detainee of ours that needs any type of outside treatment, it has to be approved by doctors with them.
Mhm.
Once it's approved, yes, we do
Okay.
cover it.
Okay.
Not only that, let's say one of our detainees had to go to the hospital. In the contract, it would be, you know, you'd have to provide guard service for that, but that would be billable for extra hours as well. Any transportation you have to do, that's billable extra hours.
And is there a daily rate? I think that was one of the things that I know
Yep.
I talked to them at Pike already, and I think it's working out for them. It's just there's not enough space there.
Yeah, so, and it's location for Pike. I mean, we're actually expanding in Pike, but location, your location for operations would be better for us for what we're doing. But daily rates, I don't deal with the contract that much, but I know, like, for instance, I oversee Pike, that's over $100 a day. I don't know the exact, but it's over 100.
Yeah, I think it was like 119 or something.
And I oversee the Clinton County Correctional Facility, which is on a marshal's contract, which is like mid-80s. So it's typically between mid-80s and depending on the services you provide in the contract and the standards you're under, I mean, some go as high as 120, 130. So it really depends on what the contract was.
And is there a difference of the prisoner that's there, like the severity of the,
Yes, we do have classifications, so
Okay.
we classify low, medium high, and high. So, I mean, obviously, someone arrested for a violent crime of assault, rape, you're gonna be your higher classification. Someone with lower crimes, maybe civil drug possession, theft, they're gonna be lower, or we do arrest non-criminals who are unlawfully present in the
and
United
is
States
it the
as well,
same rate, or is it a different rate as
Same
it goes, same rate?
Yeah, same
Okay,
regardless of the classification of the
all right.
I think, didn't we receive some paperwork?
You
We
got,
did?
you got what they require, was the standards for the correctional facility, and they met with Derek and went over those standards, and they basically, I think they were satisfied with a lot that we had, there were just a couple minor things that had to change, but it was pretty in-depth, and then that's when, from what I
We
got,
gave it to
Bob
Bob?
said that it'll take him a year to go through that, and the standards were okay, but we didn't really review a contract, an actual contract, and that will be more in realm of what you guys were looking for, because I think the facility is gonna meet the requirements.
Bob,
Yeah, if I may, my concern, I'm the county solicitor, Bob Friedman. My largest concern here is just liability for alleged unlawful detentions. So, for example, in Lehigh County, they will only accept those detentions per their contract if it's court ordered, if there's a warrant or something like that.
That's different. So you're talking about a detainer, holding people on our detainer, where they're not actually considered to be in our custody. If you do a contract with us, they're in our custody. So ICE, let's say there's a habeas petition, US Attorney's Office represents if they're alleging unlawful.
Well, as you know, everybody gets sued, everybody involved gets sued, so would we be indemnified
As far as what?
as far as any liability for alleged unlawful detentions? That's the only concern that I have.
So I've been doing this 20 years. I started at the York County Prison, which used to be our main detention facility. When individuals are in our ICE custody, not county, you're not holding on an ICE detainer for 48 hours till we pick them up and bring them into our custody. I have never seen a county facility be held liable for holding someone.
Well, not held liable, but, you know, there would still be the cost of defense here. And I mean, that happened in Lehigh County,
Mhm.
and
But
we
it didn't-
cannot afford
You're
to.
saying it happened in Lehigh County, but it didn't, because I understand, it's Galarza v. Solchek, right? It's where a detainer was placed on a property from Puerto Rico that was a US citizen. The county held on our detainer, not in ICE custody, in their custody on our detainer, and that's why they were held liable. This is, they're in our custody, so ICE is liable. The US Attorney's Office defends any litigation that relates to it. They do it on we get habeas petitions, not saying like, hey, we're unlawful. Where it happens, most habeas petitions is the length of custody. So typically, immigration has 6 months to remove somebody once they receive a final order. If we don't remove in those 6 months, you'll see a lot of habeas petitions, and the US attorneys defend those. The worst that happens on a habeas petition that I've seen is they're granted bond and released. There's no punitive judgment like the one that you're referencing in Lehigh.
I'll just
Well,
want to take a look at the
Well,
contract.
yeah, I think that's the key to it, Bob, to take a look at the contract. But I mean, you know, there's nothing gonna prevent anybody from suing anybody for anything that's there, but I think our liability comes in like you were addressing. If we're acting like Lansford Police are holding somebody, they stop a motor vehicle, and then there's a detainer on from ICE, and we take them up to the prison, at that point in time, that little window is our responsibility.
In the case
That's
you're
not under this contract.
In the case you're referencing, they held on our detainer in their custody for 48 hours. Not in our custody,
Right.
it was in their custody. So
Which wouldn't be the case with what we're
anybody
talking
we
about,
bring in
because they
would
would already be in your
immediately
custody,
Be in our custody.
right? And we're just housing until you move them along.
To Pike, yep, or they get, for the females, if we get long-term there, females until either they win their immigration case, we let them go, or they lose and we remove them.
How many incidents have you had over the years, major or anything major, or at any of the facilities where these people were housed?
When you say incidents, sir, what do you mean?
Major problems that it created a problem for the county, really unruly person or attempted murder of somebody else in a prison or assaults, et cetera?
I mean, deputy warden, anytime you're detaining people, there's a risk of that. I'm trying to think, probably the worst, in my 20 years, I've never seen an ICE inmate murder somebody. I have seen allegations of sexual assault. I mean, that does happen occasionally.
And Agent, I think just to, for my mind, because of the classification system that you're using, we would only be housing lower level inmates in our facility, is that correct?
Well, for females, correct. For
Right.
males, it could be higher level as well.
Okay.
But those would only be under 72 hours, and talking to the warden, the deputy warden, they would put him in your intake area, so they wouldn't even mix with your population
Right.
until we move them to Pike.
Right, and we do have those protections in place already.
What about language barriers?
That can be challenging. So we have, what Pike primarily uses, we have an interpreter service called Lionbridge. So you guys would have access at no cost to our interpretation services. So if the jail staff needs to talk to our detainees or needs interpretation, you'll have that. I mean, obviously Spanish is probably the #1 language, but we do arrest people from all over the world.
And I think from early on, there were requirements that the prison staff, in terms of training, would need to go through, sort of like a certification process. Is that accurate?
I don't know if there's a certification. I'm not aware of any specific certifications. We have it's called, Prison Rape and Elimination Act, that there might be some training involved in that. To meet some of our standards, maybe some individual standards, they might have to do some specific training. But I don't think it'd be anything completely, out of the norm of what you're already doing, or something that's excessive, that's gonna take a lot of time. And the deputy warden can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you guys went through the standards. You didn't think you had to do much to get up to what our standards are.
No, there wasn't much.
So this would be separate than a 287G contract?
Yeah.
Where there is online training required, this was just separate?
So 287G is totally different than
Okay.
detention, right? 287G, there's two different methods for 287G. It's a task force model where you actually can go out in the field and arrest people with us. And there's a warrant service officer that a jail staff can do, where let's say someone was in your facility that we want to take into custody, you could actually serve on warrants for us. But it doesn't relate anything to detention, no.
Okay.
So are most of these people coming out of the Lehigh Valley area?
Correct. Most of the
Okay.
people, it'd probably be Allentown and Northampton is the majority of where
Okay.
we
And
are.
are there contracts that ICE currently has with the counties in Lehigh and Northampton County to house these individuals?
No, sir. We used to have one with Lehigh maybe 10 years ago or whatnot. But to be perfectly honest, at that time, the detention standards were, instead of being 14 pages, and I have a copy if anybody wants them here, they were about 300 pages and very difficult to meet at that time. It required extensive resources.
So the detention standards have been abbreviated,
Correct.
okay? So why are there no contracts then with Lehigh County or Northampton County to basically house these individuals?
I think Lehigh County in particular, as the solicitor mentioned.
But you said that was qualitatively different. They were not being held in detainment, they were being held in ICE custody. So as we were representing to us, there should be no liability to the county because it's in ICE custody. So I'm just wondering why there are no contracts with either of those two counties then?
I wouldn't know, sir, you'd have to ask them. I mean, we have requested with Lehigh. Obviously, we all know in what my agency does, there's politics involved, right?
No, I understand that, but there's also business involved, and as you heard the warrant commissioner recite, everyone gets affected by money. And if it's beneficial financially, generally the county will grab onto it. Apparently, neither Lehigh nor Northampton have grabbed onto it. There must be reasons beyond politics that are behind that,
I'm not sure that there is, sir, to be honest with you.
okay? The contract that's used, is this a standard uniform contract with each county that ICE has, other than the rate? I know the daily rate can be negotiated, but other than that, are all the terms of the contract uniform?
Generally, I would think, I'm not a contract expert, we have a contracting officer, but yes, I would think our contract with, the Pike County Correction Facility in, Moshannon is our main detention facility out in Phillipsburg, is pretty similar, yes.
Okay.
But
And
it
what-
differs in the amount of services that are required.
And I understand that the females are gonna be low classification. Males could be much higher. What number of spaces would the county have to reserve? What are you talking about?
So I would think for males, it'd be 5 at a time, tops, right? Well, I guess it could go a little higher, anywhere between 5 and 10. I don't know that we even do it. So basically, we do operations, we arrest people every day, right? So we bring them there, and they probably sit 1 day or 2 days till we brought them to Pike.
I understand,
For males.
I understand that's 72 hours, I got that.
Yep.
So you're saying 5 to 10 for males?
Yep.
And females is what?
As many as you give us. I think we talked 15 was the max.
So you're talking that you would want 20 to 30, or excuse me, 20 to 25,
Yep.
okay? And suppose the county becomes overcrowded and can no longer accommodate that number, they have its own people they have to house. What happens then? Can we bump you guys?
Yeah, you can just say we don't have space, it happens all the time, so, working with Pike and Clinton, the facilities I oversee, the number of space, the amount of beds they give us depends on their population. So, it varies every day or weekly. That's correct.
Okay, I think I got it.
I'd personally just like to see the numbers, the cost and that. I mean, that's the first thing is to see, because the county getting into anything, obviously, if there's a long-range cost to the county that we don't really see, I think, Bob, that's got to be addressed before we enter anything. And then the second concern I would have, and maybe this speaks not outside of the county from this, but this speaks more of on a local front. I do have some concerns. While I support ICE and everything you're doing out there, and I'll publicly state that, I do have concerns when you bring that element into a community, and if something breaks loose, while you can train our men, and I know our COs are very capable of handling that, but can the borough of Nescahoning handle the crush of what could possibly happen with the police department they have there, considering we have a law enforcement shortage here in the county? And I'm not gonna sit here and play games. We're a magnet for protests, for everything. I'm just calling it the way it is. And we do not have there's always been discussion about security gates and all of that at the prison that we've never truly addressed. And a lot of that, I think, possibly may need to be looked into, because, you know, this is I think that Your Honor, he alluded to it, it does become a politically charged area, and I don't know if I'll be honest with you, I don't know if we're adequately prepared for that onslaught or what may come on.
Well, I will say, in my 20 years of doing immigration and customs enforcement, I mean, we've had protests at facilities, but they've been peaceful and minor. I used to oversee the Birch Family Detention Center that had a protest on a weekly basis. We've never had anything get out of hand. The facilities I oversee, Pike and Clinton, in the last 10 years, even with the current climate, there has been no protests. There has been some peaceful protests at our Moshannon facility, but nothing that required police intervention to do that.
And that would just be one concern that I would think, because, I mean, when it comes to, and I'll say it, Nescahoning, I mean, let's face it, they're always hurting. You know, nobody pulls any punches here. I just want to make sure that while we're training the county and taking care of all the county, there is some liability that falls out into the community, and that they need to be prepared for, because you can bring an element, especially that we're so close, as Judge Nanovic has brought up, to the Lehigh Valley. It's not hard for somebody from Lehigh or Northampton County to find Carbon County. It's not like we're bringing them halfway across the state.
Most of our smaller detention facilities, like for instance, we have Franklin County, I work out of our York office. Franklin is kind of what you're doing under 72, and no one even knows it really exists. Right? If you stay under 72, no one's really gonna know it even exists unless someone broadcasts it.
What do you mean
But
if you say
even-
under 72? Under 72 total capacity? I mean,
No, under 72 hours of detention.
Oh, 72
If you didn't
hours,
wanna do the
okay.
females, you just wanna do under 72, no one's gonna know. And even with the females, like, I've been doing Clinton County for 10 years, and very rarely do we get any inquiries about Clinton. Most of the attention is focused on our main detention facility.
It'll make front
which
page,
is the
it'll
Moshannon
make
Valley
front page
Processing
news.
Center. What's that?
It's gonna make front page news. The county enters the contract, it's gonna be front page on the Times
Well,
News.
you know that.
I know it is.
And Jim Thorpe, you know from doing it, it just becomes a hub, and that would be one of my second concern, is that, the local law enforcement is ready for it, because there could be some, I mean, we all know how charged it is out there, let's call it the way it is, and I don't know if Nescahoning, and they have a hard time. And I don't know if we have the manpower, even in the sheriff's department, that we can help that out. I mean, we're hurting for manpower too at times, so, it's just, I think the training's there, and like I said, I don't wanna not support you, I do, but I do have concerns about the
But I
community.
also think, yeah, there's probably not a way to prevent it from being on the front page of the news, but due to operational security concerns at the prison, it's also not gonna be advertised that we're housing this many inmates or this, I mean, there's some things you can say, but for operational security, there's things you wouldn't say.
Like I said, I don't think it's a matter of number, it's a matter of just knowing they're there. That's all it takes.
What's the staffing at the prison sufficient for how many more?
For it to hold the inmates, we have plenty of space for females to hold them long-term. Male-wise, the short-term would be the best option, just because of spacing.
And I do think it could be mutually beneficially, obviously financially for you guys, for us operationally, right? I mean, even if your average daily population, say it's 15 females, 3 males, that's 18. If you do the math at an average of $90 a day, that's $600,000 a year. And you really don't have to do much additional changes to your staff. There shouldn't be a huge cost other than feeding, our detainees. So, I mean, for you guys, would obviously be mutually beneficial for you guys financially, and that's not taken into account like, hey, maybe if there is no issues you'd like to, and want to expand, it can be expanded from there. Like I said, that doesn't take in, if you do some transport for us, or if you do guard service or hospital runs, those numbers go drastically up.
I think I'm probably the only one in the room except for Frank, maybe that was here when we did the immigration and we had 20 to 5 to 30 at any one given time. But that's back when the female block, we only had 4 or 5 women in prison. It was beneficial for us to farm them out to other areas. But the climate is my concern too, and the protests and that, but I don't see it. The housing, we didn't have that much of an issue before. If you guys were there at that time when we did it, but that's my only concern is as long as we have sufficient staffing, I think we do because we haven't changed it when the numbers were up, but the other one is a concern with public image, I guess, I don't know, but I guess I shouldn't worry about that either, what's beneficial to you and to the county.
So what's our next step to at least take a look at the contract? If you guys have a contract to prepare, and then we can,
So, I guess what would you need to tentatively say you'd be willing to agree to it? Because I don't think, I don't know that they're gonna do a contract until there's something tentative, say.
Well, if they're a uniform contract, Mike, you just get the uniform contract. The only thing that's gonna vary, according to what he believes, is the rate.
I mean, I could probably get like Pike's contract or something for you guys.
Okay.
To take a look at what that is, for it, and I have talked to Warden Lowe at the facility at Pike, and he's willing to talk to anybody if they have additional questions and about housing ICE detainees too. I mean, would you like me to confirm a day rate?
no, I think you're more looking at, because Bob wanted to see what the contract had. So why don't we look at the Pike contract, and then,
Okay.
and then the board can make a recommendation to the commissioners, because only commissioners could contract, and then we'll go from there. Way the board could satisfy itself, we could look at what's in there, we could discuss it at our next meeting, and if Bob has enough time to go through that, and then you guys will come to a consensus one way or another, and if we're in a consensus to move forward with it, then a contract's drawn up and it goes to the commissioners. If
And
not-
that's Warden Lowe from,
Yeah, Craig Lowe, yep.
and I did talk to him. I mean, like I said, I can come out and say this too, I think some people shouldn't be in our country, and I think this is a good way. Other points that it could bring trouble, but I think maybe the only So is that gonna be, you know, like the other way? And I did talk to the warden about that before. I don't think they have, there's no issues, that they're having, but,
We typically will not house somebody if they're pregnant. So we have had people in all of our facilities, you know, individuals we've arrested, females, that didn't know they were pregnant, and once they were brought into the facility, you know, most facilities do a pregnancy test on females, and test positive, and, you know, if it's early in the pregnancy and we think the case will resolve, yeah, maybe we'll keep them. But if they're far in the pregnancy, we're typically not.
and I know we've always, like, I mean, I followed, like, I think our cost per prisoner was like, I think $128 to $138 a prisoner, that it actually works out to us. And I just don't wanna get into it. I mean, yeah, we wanna help out and we wanna do things, but I don't wanna lose $20 per
Yeah,
prisoner, you know what I mean? So I think if we have numbers and stuff to look at, I think it's better to evaluate it that way and say, okay, yeah, we're moving forward.
Yes,
But,
I said
I really don't see any reason why not to look into the options, you know?
And if there is anything that's available that you know of that would help the community out to get prepared, because I'm not saying it's gonna happen, and I pray to God it don't, but the way the world is today, I think we need to make sure that if you're bringing that type of element, the possibility of here, even if it's only for 72 hours, you know, we just gotta make sure that there's something there that helps protect them, those communities that could be affected. You know, and keep everybody safe, and mostly the ICE people, you know. You guys are taking a beating, and I don't mean to chuckle about that, but you really are, and we're here to support you, but to make sure that Nescahoning doesn't bear the brunt of something that they don't need. So,
So the next steps, you'd like to see the Pike contract, what else?
Yeah, I think so. I should even ask them.
And if the rates could be included with that as well, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. I think when it, like I said, unfortunately, I don't deal with the contracting side very often, but I mean, it really comes down to when you're doing the contract, if you said you guys wanna do it, you know, our contracting sits down with your contracting, and they work out the rate. Is typically what happens. Like, if you're a rider's on a marshal's contract, those are typically the lower rates, because marshal standards aren't very high for holding marshals detainees, but when you have your own individual contract with us, those typically end up being a little higher because there's typically more services included in those.
And is there anything like that 72 hours? Say you wouldn't come and pick up that day. I think they had an issue, was it in Northampton, where they left somebody out? So are you, I thought they had a big thing 6 months ago, that they left somebody out after the 72 hours because it wasn't proven that they should have been detained?
Now,
Or-
the issue there is Northampton won't allow us to go into the facility to pick up.
Oh, okay. So they had to
Someone
let
we
them out.
want, They put them out into the lobby and we have to arrest them.
So you, as soon as they're out in the street, you gotta be there to pick them up. Okay,
That's the issue.
okay.
The 72 hour, if it was only a 70 under, it's called 72 hours or under, we have to take them out within 72 hours.
Okay,
You know, barring an emergency, obviously if someone went to the hospital or something, you know,
Okay.
we have to, and I don't think that would be a problem. We have
so
to-
that was their rule, you couldn't come into their facility? Okay,
That was the me on that.
all right.
That they won't allow us in the facility.
Do we have your contact information? Should we have any additional questions or anything?
Is that the process you want to go through then? Look at the other contract,
Think so?
have Bob
Look at
review
it.
that, and
Yeah.
then, and then,
Go from
and
there.
then
Thank
discuss
you.
it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll take one, please, thank you.
thank you, sir.
Anybody want a copy of the detention standards? Or are we good?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, thanks,
All right,
Raj.
thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yep.
Joshua. Stay safe.
Okay. Approval for the minutes for the regular meeting held August 20th, 2025. Everybody got those in their email. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion approved.
Motion made. Is there, by Rocky, is there a second?
Second?
Second by Wayne. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I abstained, 'cause I wasn't present.
One abstention by Judge Nanovic. The motion carries. There were no executive sessions held. Reports of committee, maintenance report.
Howard Refrigeration's in, it's just the walking lift, and Train was in for the quarterly PMs of the units. Train found 2 issues. Rooftop 6 needs to get fixed before it gets cold, because currently we have the heat turned off on that unit. If anybody wants to see, I can send a picture of what the issue is for that one. The tech did take pictures. Basically, there's an igniter that's broken, and the air the igniter goes in is a little open. What they're suggesting is replacing that and doing a little work around it. The other option would be to replace the entire heat exchanger, which would be a lot more money than just going at this rate. I know last month I sent down to everyone basically like an inventory list of the bigger ticket items from the building and what how old everything is there, and, just saying again, all but 2 of the rooftop units that we have now have lasted longer than the units they replaced.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
You're gonna be putting that in the budget then for next year for replacement, or it had to have to be done before?
I'm trying to get numbers that we can try to get something in, because I figure, like, we have the one that was put in 2006, that's the oldest one, and then 4 were put in 2008. I mean, if by chance we could find a grant, that would be awesome, but other than that, like a step program to.
I'd say get it and put it in the budget, get the numbers.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, we'll move on to work release report.
Good afternoon. Submitted is the monthly work release report. We had a total of 6 inmates on the program for the month, 5 currently being on the program. The total net income was $8,100.53. A breakdown of the disbursement is as follows: room and board, $1,575. Court costs, $225. Inmate payments of $6,275.53, and escrow account was $25. Also submitted is the monthly in-house report, and if there's any questions on either of those, I can answer that.
Do you have many inmates that are eligible for work release?
Currently, we have one that should be starting relatively soon, a couple new faces this month, and we're continuing to look to increase the numbers there on the program,
Yeah.
so.
How many places have you gone to looking for placement?
A lot of places I have a level of rapport with, so I check on them periodically, J&R SLAWs, different industry in the county, some out of the county as well. So when they're in need of employees, they'll give me a call, or I check in on them regularly, just to make sure that we have options for those that are eligible for work release that may not have a job available. Of course, a big hurdle is the transportation for a lot of our offenders, so that really does hurt the numbers.
And you have like start dates, and the one I see has a finish date, but is there like the amount of hours, like there could have been one here from 8:30, 25. Is there an amount of hours that they have worked in the last 2 weeks or so?
Generally, they all have to have full-time employment, so that would be a
Okay.
minimum of 32 hours, and generally we cap it at about 50 hours. In some circumstances, we can make arrangements to work a little bit beyond that, but generally, on a weekly basis, between 40 and 50 hours a week.
And they're meeting their requirement of the 32 hours that they
Correct,
have to have?
yeah. It
Okay.
becomes not even, I don't wanna say profitable, but if they're working 20 hours a week at minimum wage, they can't even afford to pay the room and board, and what it costs and fines and escrow. So it does have to be a full-time type position
Okay.
to meet that.
Anybody, any more questions? Okay, thank you, Frank. Plan of Action Committee.
We did have a Plan of Action Committee meeting on 9/8. I met with the warden and deputy warden. They provided some updates, and we set some priorities for 2026, which include some focus on the MAT program and prime care, working on the round tracker and making sure that is all functioning properly. Had some discussion in trying to ferret out some reentry stuff. I know they are working on revising post orders, and they will begin to start addressing policies and procedures. I think one of the things that the warden and deputy warden are doing now that didn't happen before that's effective is they're doing supervisory meetings on a monthly basis, Dan? And then assistant deputy warden meetings on a weekly basis. So communication is definitely increasing, and when they are thinking about post orders and policies and procedures, they are sending that out, the warden and deputy warden are sending that out to their supervisors and including the deputy, assistant deputy wardens in that for feedback. So they are part of the process in recreating those and enhancing those, which I think from all reports is going very well and needs to continue. So the district attorney and myself will continue to meet with the warden and deputy warden on a monthly or every other month basis to kind of figure out where we can help and assist and what the progress of those priorities are. And I let the district attorney know I gotta excuse myself for another meeting. Did anybody have any questions about the Plan of Action Committee?
Nope. No questions. Thank you, Dan. Okay, warden's report.
For the month of August, we had a total of 45 males admitted into the facility, 12 females, for a total of 57. Releases, 61 males, 13 females, total of 74. As of the 31st of August, we had a total of 101 males, 21 females, for a total of 122 inmates in the facility. Transports, we had 9 total, with 0 days of hospital.
Anybody have any questions on the warden's report?
Just remind, what's the capacity at the prison?
Off the top of my head, I would have to really think about it. I don't remember. Yeah, that's on me. I apologize. I can get that for you, though.
No, I was just curious, kind of, we're talking here about ice and so forth. I wasn't sure what the buffer is
We
there.
have plenty of room for
240,
females.
I think, isn't it?
Is that what it is, Wayne?
Something like
I
that,
couldn't
240,
recall.
somewhere around there.
So we're only about half capacity now,
Yeah,
122.
yeah, maybe 60%, something, yeah. Motion to accept the warden's report.
Motion made by Wayne, second by Rocky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Executive session, we're gonna need to go into one on a security issue relating to the prison. All right, so we'll move that down. After we'll do that after correspondence. Personnel report. Everybody's got a copy of the personnel report. Any questions on it? I'll entertain a motion to approve the personnel report.
So move.
Motion made by Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kayla. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The only question I had, Mike, I mean, it's not against it, I voted for it. Is this an ordinary number of overtime? Seems like a lot to me, but I don't know.
It's been a lot.
What?
Always has been pretty high. I don't know if this is out of the ordinary, but.
And do we have a lot of vacancies up there right now?
We did. We are currently working on that, and we're actually pretty close to being fully staffed.
Okay,
We're very close, actually.
so the
So
amount of
the
overtime.
numbers were higher. We should start seeing those.
That's what I was gonna say, they should be decreasing, okay.
All right, old business. Any old business? Any new business? And correspondence? No correspondence? Okay, we'll adjourn to an executive. Okay, put us back on. And there we are. Okay, so we were in executive session discussing a security matter relating to medical issues as they come up in the prison. And now we'll move to, is there any further business? Is there something you want to address with us?
Yes, because of the cost for the rooftop unit and the fact that the heating is currently turned off in our medium security block, which is okay for right now and the weather's nice, but going forward, we actually have to do a board action to be able to, because of the cost of it. And I know the next meeting to be able to do that is October 2nd, I believe. And I was hoping we could move that along in this meeting to approve us to be able to spend the funds.
You know,
to be able to-
what's the cost?
The one is $2,287, and the other one is $1,461.
Did they say anything like how long it's gonna last? I mean, I know it's not, is it?
So the actual, the more expensive of the two costs is actually the unit that is currently running. They're recommending replacing the motor based on the sounds of the motor. It sounds like it's starting to go. That is currently running. My more immediate concern is the lesser of the two expenses, but that is the unit that the heat is turned off. Once the weather starts to turn, that is gonna become an issue, which we've had in the past. and I'd
Which, I mean,
Much rather not
you're
go back.
almost like
I would submit it
Kim's gonna have to.
for board action, but I'll put it to you this way. I don't know if we're gonna have the funds to pay for it, and might not approve it in October.
That would be the Board of Commissioners approving it in October.
Yes.
Okay.
The jail has the funds available, it's just the
But the
amount.
county doesn't.
Yeah, I understand.
You have a dollar amount in your budget, but
Yeah.
they don't have it in their pocket because of
You
what's the
currently
state doing.
have the funding now, but the county is not gonna have the funding to run the county. And the prison is one we can't shut down. So I think we have to be extremely cautious on where we're spending the money.
So it'll be a motion to approve that, to
To
recommend to the
recommend to
commissioners
the
to approve
commissioners,
it.
and we'll have to decide. I just wanted to let you know up front that
Yeah.
it's a good possibility, because if we don't start getting some funds soon,
Did
We're
you
gonna be in
make
big
that,
trouble.
did you make that motion?
no, I didn't. Well, okay, I'll make the
You want to
motion.
make that motion? Wayne making a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rocky, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion carries, so we'll make that recommendation to the commissioners. All right, is there any other further business? And that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.